The notification sound from my laptop cut through the silence of our bedroom at 11:47 p.m. Harper was supposed to be home hours ago from her boutique emergency, but there she was, texting me from God knows where. Not feeling well, staying at a friend's tonight, don't call. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My fingers moved across the keyboard before my brain could stop them. You can stay with him forever. The phone rang within 30 seconds. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to Harper's panicked voice. Evan, what do you mean? It's just Cassidy's place, I swear. Call me back. I deleted the message and poured myself another bourbon. Funny how autocorrect never fixes friend to lover, but somehow my subconscious managed it just fine. For 3 months, I'd been collecting evidence like a forensic accountant. The hotel receipts tucked behind her credit cards. The new perfume that smelled nothing like the lavender she'd worn for 2 years. The way she'd started putting her phone face down during dinner, jumping whenever it buzzed. Last week, I'd found the smoking gun on her smartwatch. A voice memo she'd forgotten to delete. Harper's laugh, then a man's voice. Last night was incredible. When can we do the penthouse again? Soon, Harper had replied. Evan's working late all week on that cybersecurity project. I'd recognized the voice immediately. Cole Armstrong, the smooth-talking consultant who'd been helping Harper expand her boutique business. The same Cole who'd shaken my hand at our engagement party 6 months ago, telling me what a lucky man I was. Now, staring at Harper's text, I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not heartbreak. I'd processed that weeks ago during those late nights when she claimed to be doing inventory. This was something sharper, more focused. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Jules Morrison, my lawyer friend from college. Jules had done 2 tours in Afghanistan before law school, and he had a talent for strategic thinking that had served him well in both careers. Jules, need to discuss some personal legal matters. Are you free tomorrow morning? It's about Harper, and it's not good news. His reply came back within minutes. Jesus, Evan. Finally figured it out? I've been waiting for this call. My office, 9 a.m. Bring everything you've got. The next morning, I spread the evidence across Jules's mahogany desk like a crime scene investigator. Hotel bills, credit card statements, screenshots of Harper's Instagram posts that didn't match her supposed whereabouts, and the audio file from her smartwatch. Jules listened to the recording twice, his expression growing darker each time. This Cole guy, he's the one with the consulting firm downtown? Armstrong and Associates. They specialize in boutique business optimization, I said, making air quotes. Apparently, that includes optimizing my fiancée right out of her clothes. How long has this been going on? Best guess? 4 months. Started right after Cole's company began consulting for Harper's boutique. Jules leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled. What are you thinking, Evan? Divorce proceedings? Asset protection? I shook my head. We're not married yet. Technically, she's just my live-in girlfriend who happens to run a business I've been bankrolling for 2 years. Ah. Jules's smile was predatory. So, we're talking about something more creative. I want them to understand what betrayal actually costs, not just emotionally, financially, socially, professionally. I want their lives to implode in the most public, humiliating way possible. And you want it to be completely legal? Absolutely. I'm not going to prison for these people, but I am going to make them wish they'd never heard my name. Jules pulled out a yellow legal pad and clicked his pen. Tell me about Harper's business structure. Who are her investors? What's her social media presence like? And this Cole character, what do you know about his client base? For the next hour, I laid out everything I knew about Harper's boutique empire and Cole's consulting firm. Harper had built her business on Instagram influence and word-of-mouth marketing, Her main investors were three wealthy women who cared more about their social image than profit margins. Cole's firm survived on reputation and referrals from the same social circles. They're both completely dependent on their public image, I concluded. Take that away, and they have nothing. Jules nodded slowly. I'm going to recommend we hire a private investigator, someone who can document their activities legally and thoroughly. Then we'll start applying pressure in ways they won't see coming until it's too late. The private investigator Jules recommended was a former police detective named Rita Santos. She had the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too much human stupidity and the dry sense of humor that came with it. Cheating couples are the easiest surveillance jobs, Rita explained during our first meeting. They're so focused on not getting caught by the spouse, they never notice anyone else watching. Within a week, Rita had enough photographic evidence to fill a small album. Harper and Cole at the Meridian Hotel downtown, the same hotel where Harper claimed to be meeting potential investors. Cole's hand on Harper's lower back as they entered the elevator. Harper wearing the red dress she'd told me was too fancy for anywhere we'd go. But the real gold mine was Rita's discovery of their communication pattern. They were using a shared Google document to coordinate their meetings, treating it like a private message board. Every hotel reservation, every excuse Harper would give me, every joke about my boring cybersecurity work, it was all documented in their own words. Your girlfriend thinks she's clever, Rita said, sliding a thick folder across the table. But she's actually just careless. Look at this. The document contained months of their affair timeline. Cole complaining about his wife's suspicions. Harper laughing about how I'd offered to increase her boutique's operating budget right after their first hotel encounter. Plans for a weekend trip to Chicago that Harper had told me was a boutique owners conference. They're not just betraying you, Rita continued. They're mocking you. This Cole guy wrote, Evan's so buried in his computer code, he wouldn't notice if Harper brought me home for dinner. I felt that cold feeling in my chest intensify. What's our next move? We document everything, then we start the pressure campaign. Jules mentioned you want to go after their professional reputations? I nodded. Harper's boutique depends on 3 main investors and about 50 social media influencers who promote her products. Cole's consulting firm has 12 active clients, all small businesses in the same social circle. If word gets out about their affair, their professional lives implode along with their personal ones, Rita finished. I like it. It's clean, legal, and devastatingly effective. The first phase of our plan was surgical. I began making subtle inquiries to Harper's investors, mentioning concerns about irregularities in the boutique's financial management. Nothing accusatory, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Jules handled the legal aspects, quietly reviewing every contract Harper had with suppliers and investors. We discovered that her agreements included morality clauses that could void her partnerships if she engaged in behavior that damaged the brand's reputation. Meanwhile, Rita continued surveillance, building an airtight timeline of the affair. We now had photographs, documents, audio recordings, and witness statements from hotel staff who remembered the couple's regular visits. Harper, meanwhile, was getting sloppy. She'd started staying out later, making less effort to hide her tracks. Last Tuesday, she'd come home wearing Cole's cologne. When I mentioned it, she claimed her boutique's new candle supplier had been testing fragrances in the shop. You're working late again tonight? Harper asked on Friday morning, not bothering to look up from her phone. Big project timeline, I replied, watching her face in the bathroom mirror. Probably won't be home until after midnight. She tried to hide her smile and failed. That's fine. Cassidy and I were thinking about having a girls' night anyway. I knew from Rita's surveillance that Cole had reserved the penthouse suite at the Meridian for that evening. Harper's girls' night would be anything but. Have fun, I said, kissing her forehead. Try not to stay out too late. That afternoon, I met Jules and Rita at a coffee shop downtown to finalize our timeline. Everything was in place for what Jules had started calling Operation Scorched Earth. Tomorrow morning, Jules said. I'm serving Harper with a formal notice that all joint financial accounts are being frozen pending a business audit. At the same time, Rita will deliver copies of the surveillance photos to Harper's 3 main investors. What about Cole? I asked. Rita smiled grimly. His wife, Jennifer, gets a complete dossier on Monday morning. I've already confirmed she handles the books for his consulting firm. When she finds out about the affair, she'll likely freeze him out of his own business. And the social media aspect? That's where it gets interesting, Jules said. Harper's boutique success depends on her image as a trustworthy, relationship-focused brand. Her Instagram is full of posts about authentic partnerships and building trust with customers. When word gets out about the affair, her entire brand collapses, I finished. Exactly. And the beauty is, we don't have to do anything illegal or unethical. We're just making sure the truth comes to light in the most comprehensive way possible. That night, I sat in my home office, listening to Harper get ready for her girls' night. She was humming in the shower, happy in a way I hadn't seen her in months. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was more excited about betraying me than she'd ever been about our relationship. My phone buzzed with a text from Rita. Subjects just checked into penthouse suite. Timeline confirmed. You ready for tomorrow? I typed back, let's burn it all down. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel possible. Harper was still asleep when I left the house at 8 a.m., officially to check on some weekend server maintenance at my office. In reality, I was meeting Jules and Rita to coordinate the first wave of our offensive. Jennifer Armstrong is expecting the dossier at 10 a.m., Rita reported. I'll deliver it personally and make sure she understands the timeline. Cole's been charging hotel rooms to his business credit card, so she'll also discover he's been embezzling from their joint accounts to fund the affair. Jules nodded approvingly, and Harper's investors are getting their packages at the same time. I've included copies of the Google document where she jokes about inflating expense reports to cover her hotel costs. What about the social media angle? That's where things get interesting, Jules said, pulling out his tablet. I've been monitoring Harper's Instagram engagement. She has about 12 key influencers who regularly promote her products. Most of them are married women who've built their brands around family values and authentic relationships. He showed me a series of Instagram posts where Harper had been tagged, photos of her products with captions like, supporting businesses built on trust and integrity, and love working with authentic female entrepreneurs. When these influencers find out Harper's been having an affair while building her brand around relationship authenticity, they'll drop her faster than a hot coal, I finished. Rita checked her watch. Speaking of which, I should get moving. Jennifer Armstrong is expecting me in 90 minutes. After Rita left, Jules and I drove to a coffee shop across from Harper's boutique. Through the window, we could see Harper inside, arranging new inventory and chatting with her weekend staff. She looked relaxed, happy, completely unaware that her world was about to implode. You know, Jules said, sipping his espresso, most people would just break up and move on. Most people don't get betrayed by someone they've financially supported for 2 years while she mocks them in writing to her lover. Fair point. But are you sure you want to go this far? Once we pull these triggers, there's no going back. I watched Harper through the window, laughing at something her employee had said. She was wearing the diamond earrings I'd given her for our first anniversary, probably planning to wear them to another hotel room with Cole tonight. I'm sure. At exactly 10 a.m., my phone started buzzing. First, a call from Harper that I let go to voicemail, then another, then a string of increasingly frantic text messages. Evan, call me now. Something's wrong with the business accounts. The bank says you froze everything? Call me. Jules was monitoring his secure email account, where Rita was sending real-time updates from her meeting with Jennifer Armstrong. Jennifer's reading through the dossier now, Jules reported. Rita says she went completely white when she saw the hotel receipts. Apparently, Cole told her those charges were for client meetings. My phone rang again. This time it was Cole himself. "Evan, we need to talk." Cole's voice was tight with barely controlled panic. "There's been some kind of misunderstanding." "Has there?" I kept my voice neutral, almost bored. "Jennifer's saying crazy things about Harper and me. Someone's been spreading lies, and I think we're both being set up." "Set up by whom?" "I don't know, but someone's been following us, taking pictures. This is harassment, Evan. We could sue." "Interesting theory. What kind of pictures?" There was a long pause. "Look, maybe Harper and I got a little too friendly during the business consulting, but it's not what it looks like." "What does it look like, Cole?" "Jesus, Evan. Don't make this harder than it has to be. We're all adults here." "You're right," I said calmly. "We are adults. Adults who face consequences for their choices. Have a good day, Cole." I hung up and immediately got another call from Harper. "Evan, please, you have to listen to me." "I'm listening." "Cole's wife is saying horrible things about us. She's completely lost her mind. She's threatening to call all our business partners and spread lies." "What kind of lies?" She thinks Cole and I have been having an affair." "Have you?" The silence stretched for nearly 30 seconds. "Evan, it's complicated." "It's really not. It's actually very simple. You've been sleeping with Cole for 4 months while I've been paying your business expenses and planning our wedding." "How did you—" Harper's voice trailed off. "How did I find out?" "Harper, you've been documenting your affair in a shared Google document. You've been charging hotel rooms to credit cards I can access. You've been posting Instagram stories from locations that don't match where you told me you'd be. You've been spying on me?" "I've been paying attention. There's a difference." Jules was frantically typing on his laptop, monitoring news from multiple fronts. "Jennifer Armstrong just called Cole's 3 biggest clients," he reported quietly. "She's telling them Cole has been embezzling company funds to pay for an extramarital affair." "And Harper's investors?" "2 of them have already called Harper's boutique demanding an emergency meeting. The 3rd one just posted on Instagram about re-evaluating partnerships with businesses that don't align with our values." Harper was still talking, her voice getting more desperate. "Evan, we can work this out. What Cole and I did was wrong, but it doesn't have to destroy everything. I love you. I want to marry you." "No, Harper. You love my bank account. You love the security I provide. You love having someone to pay your bills while you play house with Cole at expensive hotels." "That's not true." "Evan's so boring, at least you make me feel alive again," I quoted from their Google document. "Maybe after we get married I can convince him to buy us that lake house where we could spend weekends." Harper made a sound like she'd been punched in the stomach. "Did you really think I'd never find out? Or did you just not care because you figured I was too buried in computer code to notice?" "Evan, please." "The joint accounts are frozen. The business credit cards are canceled. Your investors have been informed about the irregularities in your expense reports, and Cole's wife now knows where their money has been going for the past 4 months. You can't do this to us." "I'm not doing anything to you, Harper. I'm simply making sure the truth comes to light. Everything else is just consequences." I hung up and turned to Jules. "How are we doing on the social media front?" Jules showed me his screen. 3 of Harper's key influencer partners have already deleted their promotional posts about her boutique. 2 more have posted vague messages about being more careful about the businesses we choose to support. My phone buzzed with a text from Rita. "Jennifer Armstrong has officially kicked Cole out of their house and their business. He's currently sitting in his car outside the Meridian Hotel, probably trying to figure out where he's going to sleep tonight." "Phase 1 complete," I said to Jules. "What's phase 2? I smiled, and for the first time in months, it felt genuine. Now we let them try to fight back. That's when things get really interesting. By Sunday evening, Harper and Cole's world had shifted from comfortable deception to full-scale crisis management. Harper had spent the day frantically calling her business partners, trying to explain away the evidence while simultaneously begging me to unfreeze the accounts. Cole, according to Rita's surveillance, had checked into a budget motel and was making his own desperate rounds of phone calls, but they weren't going down without a fight. Monday morning, I arrived at my office to find Cole waiting in the lobby. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Wrinkled clothes, bloodshot eyes, the desperate energy of a man watching his life collapse in real time. "We need to talk," he said, standing up as I approached the elevator. "Do we?" "This has gone far enough, Evan. You've made your point. Harper and I screwed up, but you're destroying innocent people now. My business partners had nothing to do with this." I pressed the elevator button and waited. "Your business partners are finding out that you've been embezzling company funds to pay for hotel rooms. That seems pretty relevant to their interests." "I wasn't embezzling. Those were legitimate business expenses." "For meetings with Harper about her boutique consulting?" "Yes." "In penthouse suites? At midnight? While you were both naked?" Cole's face flushed red. "You don't have pictures of us naked." "No, but I have pictures of you entering hotel rooms together, credit card receipts for champagne and room service, and audio recordings of you discussing your encounters. I also have your own written admissions in that Google document where you detailed which positions worked best in different hotels." The elevator arrived and I stepped inside. Cole followed, looking increasingly desperate. "What do you want?" he asked as the doors closed. "Money? An apology? What's it going to take to make this stop?" "I want you to understand something, Cole. For 4 months, you and Harper thought you were smarter than me. You thought I was some boring tech guy who wouldn't notice his girlfriend was being optimized by her business consultant. That's not... You wrote in your little shared document that I was too pathetic to deserve someone like Harper. You joked about how easy it was to fool me. You made plans to continue the affair after Harper and I got married." The elevator reached my floor, and I stepped out. Cole grabbed my arm. "Let go of me," I said quietly. "Not until you listen. Harper loves you. This thing with me was just physical. It didn't mean anything. If it didn't mean anything, then losing it shouldn't be a problem." Cole's grip tightened. "You're destroying her business out of spite. She's got employees who depend on those jobs. Harper's business is failing because she built it on lies and funded it with embezzled money. Her employees deserve better than working for someone who steals from her investors to pay for hotel rooms." "You self-righteous piece of..." I twisted out of his grip using a move Jules had taught me from his military days. Cole stumbled backward, more surprised than hurt. "Touch me again, and I'll call security," I said calmly. "Then I'll call the police. Then I'll call the local news station and give them the full story about how a business consultant has been stalking and threatening the boyfriend of his married client." "Married client? Oh, did Harper not mention that part? She's been telling her investors that you two are married. Check her Instagram posts from last month. She refers to you as her business partner and life partner. Her investors think they're funding a family business." Cole went pale. "That's not... We never said we were married." "Harper did. To 3 different investors. It's in writing." I walked toward my office, leaving Cole standing in the hallway. My phone was already buzzing with the next round of crisis calls from Harper. "Evan, Cole says you're telling people we're married. That's insane." "I'm not telling people anything, Harper. I'm just sharing the documentation you created. Your Instagram posts, your investor presentations, your loan applications where you listed Cole as your spouse. Those were just... I was trying to make the business look more stable." "So you committed fraud." "It's not fraud. It's marketing. Harper, you took money from investors under false pretenses. You claimed to be married to your business partner to make your company seem more credible. That's textbook fraud. You can't prove I meant to deceive anyone. Actually, I can. Rita found the email where you told your biggest investor that you and Cole had been married for 2 years and were building a business based on the trust and partnership of our marriage. You sent that email 3 weeks after Cole's wife found out about the affair. There was a long silence. What do you want from me, Evan? I want you to face the consequences of your choices. Both of you. And then what? You destroy us completely and move on? I'm not destroying anything, Harper. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth about who you really are. That afternoon, Jules called with an update that made me smile for the first time in days. Cole's business partners voted him out, Jules reported. Unanimous decision. They're also demanding he pay back the money he spent on hotel rooms, and they're considering a lawsuit for breach of fiduciary duty. What about Harper's boutique? 2 of her 3 investors have officially pulled out. The third one is demanding a complete audit of the books before she makes a decision. And get this, Harper's landlord got wind of the financial troubles and is threatening eviction if she can't prove she can make rent. How's their social media presence? Completely destroyed. Harper's lost about 60% of her Instagram followers, and the influencers who used to promote her products are now actively distancing themselves. Cole's LinkedIn profile has been flooded with comments from people who've heard about the affair. I leaned back in my office chair, feeling a satisfaction I hadn't experienced in months. They brought this on themselves. There's one more thing, Jules said. Rita intercepted a conversation between Harper and Cole yesterday. They're planning some kind of counterattack. Harper thinks she can convince people that you've been abusive and controlling, that the affair was her way of escaping an unhealthy relationship. Let them try. I've got 4 months of documentation showing that I've been nothing but supportive while she's been lying and stealing. Still, we should be prepared for them to get desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. Good, I said. I'm hoping they do something stupid. It'll make the final phase of this plan even more satisfying. Jules was quiet for a moment. Evan, I have to ask, how far are you planning to take this? As far as it takes for them to understand that actions have consequences. They thought they could betray me, mock me, and steal from me without any repercussions. I'm going to prove them wrong. And after that? After that, I'm going to move on with my life. But first, I'm going to make sure they never forget the cost of underestimating someone they considered too boring to notice. That evening, I sat in my home office, looking through the evidence Rita had compiled over the past 2 weeks. Photos, documents, audio recordings, witness statements, a complete record of Harper and Cole's deception. Tomorrow, I would implement the final phase of my plan. Harper and Cole thought they'd seen the worst of what I could do to them. They were wrong. The final confrontation was set for Thursday evening at Harper's boutique. I'd arranged it through Jules, ostensibly as a mediation session, to discuss terms for moving forward. Harper's remaining investor, Margaret Chen, would be there, along with 2 of Cole's former business partners, who were considering legal action. What Harper and Cole didn't know was that Rita had set up discreet recording equipment throughout the boutique, and Jules had arranged for a court stenographer to document everything that was said. I arrived at 6 p.m. sharp. Harper's boutique looked different. Half the inventory was gone, sold off to pay creditors, and the space felt hollow and desperate. Harper was waiting inside with Cole, both of them looking like they'd aged years in the past week. "Thank you for coming," Harper said, her voice carefully controlled. "I think we can work something out that benefits everyone." Margaret Chen arrived next, followed by Cole's former partners, David Park and Lisa Rodriguez. Everyone took seats around the small table Harper usually used for customer consultations. "Before we begin," Jules announced, "I want everyone to understand that this conversation is being recorded and transcribed for legal purposes. If anyone objects, they're free to leave." Harper and Cole exchanged glances, but neither moved. "Good," I said, opening the folder Rita had prepared. "Let's start with the timeline." For the next 30 minutes, I methodically laid out every detail of Harper and Cole's affair: the hotel receipts, the Google document, the fraudulent investor presentations, the embezzled business funds, the social media lies. This is harassment, Cole interrupted when I showed the photographs Rita had taken. You hired someone to stalk us. I hired someone to document your activities in public places, I corrected. Everything here was obtained legally, unlike the way you obtained access to Harper's business accounts, or the way Harper obtained money from her investors under false pretenses. Margaret Chen was studying the documents with increasing alarm. Harper, you told me you and Cole were married business partners. These photos show you're both involved with other people. It's complicated, Harper said weakly. No, it's not, Margaret replied sharply. It's fraud. You took my money under false pretenses. Cole leaned forward aggressively. Look, Evan, you've made your point. We get it. You're angry. But this has gone way too far. You're destroying people's lives over a relationship that was already falling apart anyway. Was it falling apart? I asked calmly. Because according to your Google document from last week, you and Harper were planning a trip to Mexico together. You were discussing how to manage Evan's suspicions until after the wedding so Harper could have access to more of my assets. That's not what we meant. Once they're married, Harper will have legal access to his savings account. We could probably get enough for the down payment on that condo we looked at. I quoted directly from their document. What did you mean by that exactly? Harper's face went white. Evan, that was just fantasy talk. You never would have stolen my money to buy a condo where you could continue your affair after we got married. It wasn't stealing. What would you call it? David Park, one of Cole's former partners, was shaking his head in disgust. Cole, did you really embezzle from our company to fund an affair with a client? I didn't embezzle anything. Those were legitimate business expenses. For hotel penthouse suites? We needed privacy for sensitive business discussions. Lisa Rodriguez laughed bitterly. Sensitive business discussions? Cole, we've seen the credit card receipts, champagne, room service, spa treatments. What kind of business discussions require couples massage packages? Cole's face was getting red. You people don't understand the pressure I was under. My marriage was over. Harper's relationship was toxic. We found something real together. Something real? I asked. You mean like the part where Harper was planning to steal my money to fund your new life together? Or the part where you were both mocking me in writing while I was paying Harper's business expenses? We never mocked you. I pulled out another document. Evan's so obsessed with his boring computer work, he probably wouldn't notice if I brought Cole home for dinner. Sometimes I think about just telling him the truth. He's too pathetic to do anything about it anyway. The room went completely silent. Harper wrote that, I continued, in response to your suggestion that you two should stop being so careful because I was too clueless to figure it out. Harper was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, just cold satisfaction. The truth is, I said, standing up, you both thought you were smarter than me. You thought I was some boring, pathetic computer nerd who would never notice his girlfriend was being optimized by her business consultant. You thought you could steal my money, mock my intelligence, and plan your future together while I paid your bills. Evan, please. You were wrong. I turned to Margaret Chen. Harper has been embezzling money from her business accounts to pay for hotel rooms. She's been lying to you about her relationship status to make her business seem more stable. And she's been planning to defraud her fiancé out of his savings to fund a new life with her married lover. Margaret stood up, her face furious. Harper, I want my investment back. All of it. By the end of the week. I don't have it, Harper whispered. Then I'll see you in court. David Park and Lisa Rodriguez were already gathering their papers. Cole, David said, expect to hear from our lawyers. We're suing for the embezzled funds, plus damages to our company's reputation. You can't do this to us, Cole said desperately. We're not bad people. We just made some mistakes. You made choices, I corrected, and now you're facing the consequences of those choices. Harper suddenly stood up, her sadness replaced by rage. You think you're so perfect, Evan? You think you're some kind of hero? You're just a vindictive, controlling man who can't handle being rejected. Rejected? I smiled. Harper, you didn't reject me. You stole from me while planning to steal more. You lied to me while mocking me behind my back. You committed fraud against your investors while embezzling from your business. I loved you. No, you loved my money. You loved the security I provided while you played house with Cole, but you never loved me. Cole stood up too, his face twisted with anger. This is insane. You're destroying us over a relationship that was already over. The relationship was over the moment you decided to betray me, I said calmly. Everything that's happened since then has just been the natural consequences of your choices. Natural consequences? Harper screamed. You systematically destroyed our lives. You hired people to spy on us. You manipulated our business partners and investors. I documented your affair and shared that documentation with people who had a right to know. Your investors deserved to know they were being defrauded. Cole's wife deserved to know her husband was embezzling their money. Your employees deserved to know their boss was stealing from the company. We never stole anything. I pulled out one final document, a bank statement showing transfers from Harper's business account to pay for hotel rooms, jewelry for Cole, and a vacation they'd taken while telling me Harper was at a business conference. This is theft, I said simply. You stole from your investors, your employees, and me. And then you documented it all in your own words. Harper lunged toward me, but Jules stepped between us. That's enough, he said firmly. No, it's not enough, Harper shouted. He's ruined everything. My business, my reputation, my relationships, everything. You ruined those things yourself, I said. I just made sure people knew the truth about who you really are. Cole was backing toward the door, his bravado finally cracking. This isn't over, Evan. People will see what kind of man you really are. I hope they do, I replied. I hope they see that I'm the kind of man who doesn't tolerate being stolen from, lied to, and betrayed. I hope they see that actions have consequences, even when you think you're too clever to get caught. As Cole reached the door, he turned back one last time. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret, I said, is not figuring out who you both really were sooner. Cole left, followed by Harper's former investor and his ex-business partners. Harper stood in the middle of her empty boutique, surrounded by the ruins of the life she'd built on lies. I hope you're happy, she said bitterly. I am, I replied honestly. For the first time in months, I'm exactly as happy as I deserve to be. Jules and I walked out of the boutique into the cool evening air. Behind us, Harper was crying alone in the space where her dreams used to live. It's over, Jules said. Yes, I agreed. It's over. 3 months later, I received word that Harper's boutique had officially closed and she'd moved back in with her parents in another state. Cole's consulting firm had dissolved, and he was working as a junior associate at someone else's company for a fraction of his previous salary. His wife had divorced him and taken half of everything he had left. I never saw either of them again. People sometimes ask me if I feel bad about what happened to them. The answer is simple. I feel exactly as bad for them as they felt for me when they were planning to steal my money and mocking my intelligence in their shared Google document. Which is to say, not at all. They thought they could betray me without consequences because they saw me as weak, boring, and pathetic. They learned that underestimating someone is the most dangerous mistake you can make. I built a new life, found someone who actually deserved my trust, and never looked back. Harper and Cole got exactly what they earned.